Hi Coyotes, so today we're going to hear part 2 of the story of the alphabet, okay? So if you remember, we had left off with the Egyptians, okay? So around the same time in history, a people called the Phoenicians also lived around the Mediterranean Sea, which was north of Africa. They sailed to lands around the Mediterranean and sold many different things, such as ivory, spices, incense, slaves, silver, ornaments, and glass. And one very special thing. This was something only the Phoenicians sold. Somehow, they had discovered a certain shellfish, and it contained a tiny particle of a beautiful coloring matter that could be used to dye cloth for their clothes. So these shellfish were gathered by the millions and crushed to gather this coloring called Tyrrhenian purple. Because this dye was so difficult to produce, it was very expensive and only the kings were able to buy it and dye their clothes. The Phoenicians made a lot of money from selling this product, and they kept the secret of how to make it to themselves. If you were to ask the Phoenicians what they considered an important product, they would probably say the making and selling of Tyrrhenian purple. But as important as this dye was to the Phoenicians, it is not why the Phoenicians are part of this story of the alphabet. Here is the reason why they are part of this story. The Phoenicians traded with the Egyptians, who by now had pictures that meant just sounds, not only the objects. And they were merchants who needed a fast way of recording. They used the idea of the Egyptian sound symbols. This kind of drawing was very easy to make and could be made quickly on the clay tablets that they used for recording their merchandise. So since they were so simple drawings, everybody involved could understand what they meant. Just as we do today, they had to agree that certain sounds meant certain things. So the Phoenicians found out what you found out when you learned the alphabet, that these marks make certain sounds. So I'm going to show you a picture of the Phoenician alphabet. So even though it was the Phoenicians who were the first to use what we know as the alphabet, their letters are not the ones we use for the alphabet. So this is not quite the end of the story. Other peoples made changes in their letters. The Greeks changed the shapes of the Phoenician letters and added some letters. Here is a picture of the Greek alphabet. So the Romans used many of these Greek letters, but they also made some changes. So it was the Romans who named these letters the alphabet, a word that came from the names of the first and second letters of the Greek alphabet, alpha and beta. Because the Roman style of writing was being used at the time of the invention of the printing press, you will recognize that the Roman letters look quite similar to ours and the ones that we use today. Well, today our printed alphabet looks like this, with capital letters and lowercase letters. It is the Phoenicians who first used this idea to write only symbols for sounds. So people today still use this idea of the Phoenicians. When you write a story, you write down the alphabet letters that make the sound of the word you want to write. When you read, you recognize the sounds that the alphabet letters make. So think of all the books that you enjoy. I think we should all say a big thank you to the Phoenicians. Don't you? So maybe you would like to investigate a little more on different types of alphabets, the invention of words, letters. Feel free to explore more, and we'd love to see what you come up with. So that's what I have for now. Bye, Coyotes!